Yo, what's going on everyone? SuperaTom here and I just got Xiao today. Lucky me and I'm super grateful. Anyhow, this is going to be my first impression of him. Also looking into his potential weapon for free-to-play players, his artifact setups, the constellation, talents, and finally my team composition suggestion. Which team is going to be best for him in my opinion. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Now, first off, the first impression I got about Xiao is that he actually deals way more damage than I have expected. Probably because that was before I got the impression from Zhongli that he was dealing a lot less damage. So now that my expectation for polearm users is that they won't be dealing that much of a high damage. But then again, Xiao just broke that impression and I just, I was blew away in terms of how insanely he actually wrecks enemies, right? And so looking at the normal combo here, it has like super fast attacks and also deals wide AoE damage as well with the third and the sixth attack. And if you also charge his attack, it has a swipe up that's also AoE damage and that hits a lot of enemies at the same time, which just got that satisfying feeling of how smooth his combo can actually be. Add that with his elemental skill with a 2 super dash combo. Basically I just call it the super dash because it is a very fast dash. Right now in the battle, you don't normally have control over which enemy he will be dashing forward to, but anything that's in the way of the dash will be definitely get hit. And if you time that correctly along with his normal combo, you can definitely deal some super good looking combo in the goal because his attack pattern and combo is definitely very smooth. And pair that with the super dash combo as well, you can change that into a very good looking combo. That's really what I like about Xiao as well, and the reason why I wrote for him is that his combo looks very good. Right now when it comes to Xiao, he's obviously notoriously known for his insanely high damage output of his elemental burst, right? That give him the ability to jump up in the air and then plunge down, right? And this attack just basically surprised me at how much damage it will be dealing. And that's not all of it. You have got to see the wide area of attack it actually hits. I don't have the exact diameter of it, but as you can see, it covers a wide area. So enemies doesn't always have to stick too close together in order for this plunge attack to actually hit. So guess what? You can just super spam this and it's almost guaranteed that enemies surrounding you will get hit. This is going to be very useful, especially in dungeons or the spiral abyss, where there are a lot of small enemies that follow you, like slams for example. So you just go in, charge up his elemental burst and then go berserk, right? Like most of the enemies will almost be wiped out by the time the burst ends. And for his weapon, obviously the Primordial Jade Winged Spear is hands down the best weapon for him. It is his signature weapon that have been going on around the trail and everything like that. Basically, it gives you a crit rate and the base attack. Crit rate is very good for Xiao because he also has a natural crit rate while leveling up. And so this weapon just pairs up very good on that. So afterward, you just basically have to find artifacts that are going to be boosting his crit damage, and that's all you basically need from there. Also, the substats is very good. Like, I don't think any other weapons actually had this kind of substat that's just boosts an insane amount of damage, right? Increased attack by 3.2% for 6 seconds and max stats of 7 seconds. Right, this can only occur 0.3 seconds and that is also very fast. So this is going to be charging up your attack insanely. And within that, you also have the possession of maximum possibility stacks and also damage dealt is increased by 12%. So this is like an all-in attack weapon for Xiao. Now, obviously, not everyone can get their hands on his signature weapons because it a lot depends on luck and also how much money you've got to actually pull it in the banner, right? So another honorable mention, like if you actually got kind of lucky, like me who got another, polearm like the Skyward Spine, for example, from the wish system, then that could be a very good poem for Xiao as well. Basically, it boosts his crit rate by 8%, so that's really good. And what I really likes about it is that it increases normal attack speed by 12%, making his attack go so much faster, and it just feels a lot smoother than not having the attack speed increases. So that's going to be a good honorable mention in terms of another 5-star polearm for Xiao. Now, if you're a free-to-play player like many other people, then a very good polearm weapon is going to be at the armory, right? It's going to be the Crescent Pike, which gives you a physical damage bonus and also base attack. Not going to be the best, but if you haven't really got any other option, then this is going to be the best one. Like, it's not that bad. You still get physical damage bonus, so it wouldn't get added to Xiao when he's using his elemental burst because that's been converted to anemia damage. But other than that, it's still going to be giving you a large boost in terms of attack. And also it increases your attack, normal and charge attack for 5 seconds after picking an elemental orb or particle. So that's going to be a high boost as well. So that's going to be one of the best weapons if you're a free-to-play player. Now, the next best recommendation, if you basically haven't got any 5-star weapon polearm, or you don't feel that the Crescent Pike is actually something that you want to be using on your Xiao, then what I would say is that the death match in the Battle Pass system is going to be the best polearm that you can possibly get for Xiao if you kind of like wanting a guaranteed polearm for Xiao. Just because this polearm is basically a secondary version of Xiao's primordial polearm, right? Because it has crit rate and also base attack, just slightly a little bit lower, and also a different substat, which gives you attack and defense increase by 16% if there are more than two opponents on the field. And if there are less than basically only one enemies on the field, then the attack is increased by 24. Not to mention that the deathmatch is so much easier to refine than, I'd say, any other 5-star weapon. So basically every 3 weeks you get a chance to refine this deathmatch again, and that's going to be giving you a lot of substat boosts and potentially even out damage the main 5-star weapon of Xiao if you haven't got a high refinement rank. And so if you already decided to go for Xiao, then I'd really suggest you invest a bit further into him, as the deathmatch is a guaranteed get, right? Because it is in the Battle Pass, and I would say that it's also at an affordable price. Artifacts, as of now, I can't really recommend anything else apart from the combination of the Wind set and obviously the Gladiator set, right? At least until I dive further into how to build him further, I would say this is the best recommendation in terms of artifact for Xiao as of this point, because you're basically getting a 15% anemo damage boost along with an 18% attack boost from the Gladiator set. So I wouldn't say there are any bad side on that part. So this is going to be the best combination as of date. Obviously, that also depends a lot on what substat you get for your set as well. But going with this, you can't go wrong at this point. Looking at his constellation, again, I nobly wouldn't suggest anyone going for constellation, especially on 5-star characters, because they can be very expensive. But while if you can afford them, then looking at his constellation, C1 and C2 is going to be the best, because looking at C1, it's basically giving you another super dash charge by 1. So now you're basically getting 3 charge, and if you will be taking a look at his talent in a bit, but 3 charge is going to be boosting your mobility by a lot. It just gives you a lot more mobility and basically combo control when you are on the field. And as for C2, it goes when in the party and not on the field, Xiao energy recharge is increased by 25%. That is insane, because whenever you swap to your support character and you're not using Xiao on the field, he has the ability to recharge his elemental burst so much faster. So once you're done setting up all of your support, he can then go back and then just activate his elemental burst and just basically spamming his plunge and annihilating almost everyone on the field. Because as you've seen, his elemental burst damage is just totally insane with a wide amount of AoE damage. So that's just going to be basically so good for Xiao. So normally that's going to be, if you're affordable, then C1 and C2 would be perfect. Now, if you're someone who wills for Xiao, then normally I wouldn't really have any suggestion on Constellation, because up to C4 for Xiao kind of sucks because no one actually cares about defense bonus. I'm sure that we have healer that can actually give Xiao a lot of healing. So normally his health wouldn't be falling too much, down 50% anyway. But then if you get to C6, oh my god. Then look at that, while under the effects of Bane of All Evil, hitting at least 2 opponents with Xiao's plunging attack will immediately grant him 1 charge of Super Dash. I just call that Super Dash because it's a lot easier to pronounce. And for the next 1 second, he may use the Super Dash while ignoring its cooldown. I have nothing else to say about that because he can just basically spam the Super Dash now so insanely in the amount of time that he is basically ignoring its cooldown. So his attacking, so that's just basically so insane if you've got C6 Xiao. Normally anything that goes up to C6, I've got no comments about that because, MiHoYo has already set so that the character is basically super overpowered by the time they got to max Constellation. Looking at skills and talents, obviously we know that for his skills, we've got the normal attack and whirlwind thrust, the super dash, and the Bane of All Evil, which is his elemental burst. Obviously, the more you level that up, the higher the damage output is going to be, so we're going to be basically skipping that. But looking at his sub skill, which are the Conqueror of Evil, Tame of Demons. Now, what it does is that under the effects of Bane of All Evil, all damage dealt by Xiao increases by 5%. So that's like a base 5% boost for the damage of his elemental burst, and damage increased by a further 5% for every second the ability persists. Right, so what we're seeing is that Bane of All Evil right now is giving you a 15% second cooldown. He's getting a 5% for every 3 seconds. Right, so the maximum damage bonus is basically up to 25%. That is going to be an insane amount of damage boosting in terms of his substat. So like basically Xiao is like super built around his attack skill. Next is the dissolution of Eon. When you get Xiao to his level 70, the second substat will get unlocked. And so after the first super dash, what it basically does is that it increases the power of the next super dash by 15%. Right, this effect lasts for 7 seconds and has the maximum of 3 stacks. Basically 3 stacks for whenever you have Xiao C1, or you're able to spread out the cooldown time of the third dash so that you can get the third dash with the 15% bonus. But normally without C1, I would say it's very hard. You would just be able to get the second dash a 15% damage increase. And finally, we are going to be looking at team combination for Xiao, in my opinion, right? What I'm doing now is I'm basically setting up Xiao with 2 Anemo bonus and 2 Pyro bonus. So I'm going with Xiao, Bennett, obviously for his super attack buff and his healing capabilities with his elemental burst. Xinjiang, because she has a very good shield for him and also give a Pyro elemental bonus because now that I have 2 Pyro characters. And then Venti obviously is a very good support character. I don't think I have to mention that again. He just groups up enemy for Xiao to annihilate everything in his way. Now the reason why I have this team set up as 2 Pyro and 2 Anemo is because obviously Pyro increases your attack by 25% and also currently I have Bennett as my healer. But moreover, I'm having Anemo boost, which actually decreased stamina consumption by 15% and also increased movement speed by 10%. And if you remember, my poem actually already increases his attack speed by 12%, making his attack a lot faster. Now I also have an increased movement speed by 10%, and that's just going to boost every part of my mobility up significantly. With an addition of shortened skill cooldown by 5%. Now the skill cooldown is exceptionally good on Xiao because his cooldown for elemental skill of his super dash, I would say, is insanely slow for 10 seconds of each dash. It's not 2 dash for 10 seconds. It's 2 dash, one like 10 seconds each. So that's an insanely high amount of cooldown time. Right now, with a 5% cooldown, it actually goes down to 8 seconds, which is a lot easier for me to, manage my elemental skill. So that's a really, really good reason why I would recommend starting out having this setup. Obviously, as we move along and play around with Xiao a lot more, we'll have more team composition, and then we'll see more into how we can have different kind of characters built on that. But for now, I would say this is going to be the best team combination for Xiao. So in summary, if you have the ability to get Xiao, I would definitely recommend it because it's just a huge wall breaker and will deal with a ton of damage output for your team. Basically, he's a super main DPS. There currently aren't a lot of enemies that have high resistance against anemo characters, so that's something that Xiao can really benefit from because he can just go in without having to think about the immunity of any elemental type. And so that's my quick overview of Xiao. If you found that helpful, be sure to leave a thumb up, subscribe if you haven't already, because I post all kind of content regarding Genshin Impact because I just love the game and play it every single day. And with that, this is Tom wishing everyone a super day.